Okay, we know that the 46th session of the Human Rights Council was concluded few days ago. In that, a core group led by UK, Canada, Germany and a host of European countries moved a resolution against Sri Lanka, and in the final voting there were only 22 votes for the resolution and there were 11 against the resolution, and 14 countries did not vote in the resolution in favor of the core group resolution. Now in the Human Rights Council there are 47 members. The core group could not muster even 50% of consensus in the resolution. And if you look at the resolution, who moved the resolution, it was basically the European countries together with Canada and backed by America moved the resolution. And almost all the countries are European white countries, the white dominated countries, so they moved this resolution against Sri Lanka, and we felt that it was highly unwarranted, unnecessary, and it is against the principles of the UN Charter, it is against the principles of the Human Rights Council, and therefore we don't want to be guided by that resolution. But in real sense, they have adopted the resolution. Now Sri Lanka, being a responsible country in the international system, we have to follow the rules, we have to follow the principles, and we are at the moment deciding, debating, discussing as to how we move forward through this resolution which was adopted, and to see move on to the future. You ask about whether there can be sanctions. Well, there cannot be United Nations sanctions against Sri Lanka unless it is passed and ratified through the United Nations Security Council. Only thing is, this resolution does not talk about sanctions, but individual countries could take a lead and decide on certain measures economically. But I got to tell you one thing: if there are sanctions against Sri Lanka, it is not against a particular community. The entire Sri Lankan community will suffer. So I think even if somebody is talking about sanctions, they have to remember that this is targeting an entire population and not necessarily a single community. So therefore, sanctions in any form is not conducive, is not good for Sri Lanka's economic development. It is not good for people who are living in this island. So we need to be mindful, we need to charter our course, we need to understand what it entails and to move forward. But in this resolution, there is one thing I can say: there are certain things that we have to do in this country, because there are certain residual issues coming out of the conflict. We need to find answers, we need to find solutions, and as much as we can achieve in these spheres, like the accountability, missing person, resettlement, releasing of land, of course we have done quite a lot, but if we can find answers to all these questions, then we will not be as vulnerable to be intruded by the international or so-called international community. So we have a responsibility to do many things for the betterment of our people. And I have to tell you, no other country is more interested than Sri Lanka to find a peaceful reconciliation mechanism in the country. No, as I said, the government has appointed a commission of inquiry. Now that commission of inquiry was appointed with a clear mandate to study all previous reports, like Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Committee, Parnagama Commission, Udulagama Commission, and to study all Human Rights Council resolutions and to give us a way forward in addressing these issues raised in various reports up to now. So now we need to work. We need to make this commission work. I believe that the commission has already requested the public for various submissions, and I think it is happening. So they need to be empowered. They are an independent commission. It represents all ethnic communities. It represents both gender. So that's a very balanced commission which is appointed. And I think this is the tool, or this is the mechanism that we should really work for. We should really work through, and we should achieve results through this commission of inquiry to find answers to all the residual measures or residual incidents or residual criteria that I mentioned a little while ago. So we need to move on, and also like the Office of Missing Person, Office of Reparation, Office of National Unity and Reconciliation, Human Rights Council of Sri Lanka, all these 4 institutions need to be empowered. Budgetary allocations are already made, but we now need to request them for an action plan, and that has to be a tangible, achievable, measurable action plan, and we need to achieve progress substantially through these independent mechanisms. Well, at the moment, I don't see any other mechanism coming. I think we will have our hopes and our focus on the Commission of Inquiry appointed by the President. Of course, like now, of course, we have this Easter bombing cases as well. That will continue in a different dimension because it is a law and order situation directly, which happened only 2020. So that will go on separately, but this Commission of Inquiry is basically to find burning issues, if there are any, and the residual issues, if there are any, coming out of the long conflict that we were engaged until 2009. Well, that's a very good question, very pertinent question. But I got to tell you, the voting is finally what matters in this Human Rights Commission, right? And the voting does not take place based on merit, based on argument, based on principles. No, it is not like that. It is merely a block. Now, it is very clearly evidence in this case, the Western Europe and the Eastern Europe, all the members got together, and only Russia from the Eastern Europe bloc voted against the resolution. So these are not decided even by individual countries. These are decided as a group, right? Now, in that sense, I think it is a real achievement. 14 countries abstained from voting because they did not support the vote by the powerful Western group, and they did not want to be taking a position against it for whatever the reason. And I'm sure if you look at the countries that abstain from voting, that is the 14 countries, I'm sure they have different reasons for doing it. You know, some countries, of course, they told us, we are under tremendous pressure from the Western countries to vote for the resolution, that means to vote against Sri Lanka. But Sri Lanka is our friend. But we need these countries because we are not developed. So you see, these powerful countries are using human rights as a political weapon, economic aid as a political weapon, and whatever the development aid as a political weapon. And then these countries told us the best we can do is we will abstain. So we need to understand that. That is why I said these 14 countries must be having different reasons, different arguments for not voting for the resolution and not voting against the resolution. So if you look at Japan, now Japan depends on America for their security in that region because they have issues with China, they have issues with South Korea, they have issues with North Korea. So still Japan took a very calculated decision to abstain. So we need to appreciate that. And also India, for whatever the reason, made a decision that they will not vote for the resolution. So if they have not voted, we consider them as not voted, as simple as that. So India did not go against Sri Lanka in that sense. India abstained, so we need to respect that. So as I said, the different countries have different reasons for abstaining. And then this is the problem in this Human Rights Council, because if you move a resolution, if you get only 2 votes and the other side get 1 vote, you win, because the resolution is adopted. Why? Because you got 2 votes. It shouldn't be the case. It should have at least 50% of the House, right? Like in a parliament democracy, we always believe in 50%. For something to be implemented, it has to have more than 50% of voting. But not in this case. This is a simple majority, right? So as I explained, a country move a resolution and he get 2 votes and the subject country doesn't get a single vote, the resolution is adopted. So that is the hypocrisy of this system. Well, I don't see major shift in our foreign policy, because towards the latter part of 2020, Sri Lanka launched its first ever written down, documented foreign policy directives for 2020 and beyond. Now that 20 point was designed very carefully, gathering opinions, gathering advice from various sectors, various segments, very seasoned retired diplomats, foreign secretaries, ministers. Now this 20-point foreign policy directive is there, and I don't think it needs major changes because of the resolution. These 20-point foreign policy directives were designed to economically develop Sri Lanka and to maintain social harmony in the country. So we need to continue that rather than responding unnecessarily to the Human Rights Commission's resolution. We need to move on for the sake of Sri Lanka. Well, you see, the burial issue would have been a real factor in getting some of the Islamic countries deciding to vote, not voting but abstaining, like Bahrain and Indonesia. So I think the Muslim burial issue, yes, it created certain amount of unhappiness among our Muslim community, and then the international community was also saw that as something that the government did. But unfortunately, it was not the government; it was the health sector, the health sector, which actually decided on the burial issue. Initially, they said cremation only, but now we have found a solution to that. Now it is behind us. But only thing, it did damage in our posture, in our international relations. It did some damage because we took some time based on technical or scientific evidence to come to a conclusion. The burqa issue, I think it was just some recommendations made in the Easter bombing presidential commission, and also a sectoral committee in the parliament. So that need to be carefully handled. I think it is wrong to refer to any attire denoting a religious minority as burqa or whatever it is. I think if we are talking about national security, it should be, we must say that no one should cover the face, not necessarily targeting a particular community, because what you want to do is to identify that person. So I think we need to change our wording. But I believe that actually the discussion is focusing on this aspect that I am talking about, not targeting a community, not even referring to in a religious connotation, but purely from national security point of view. So we need to be careful. We need to because we are not just only an island. We are an island in this global system. We are very well connected, and our country, even our foreign policy or economics are not totally dependent on us. There are outside players, variables. So we need to live with that. So we have to learn lessons and move on. Yeah, that is why I said, we now need to identify the doables. What are the things we can do quickly within a shorter time frame? Because as you said, the next September, the oral update is due. So we need to find answers to whatever the questions we have during the next 6 months, right? The Commission of Inquiry, Missing Persons, Reparation Office, all these things we'll have to work and give some measurable, tangible results so that we can tell the Human Rights Commission that these issues are addressed satisfactorily to the people of Sri Lanka. So that is something we have to do. But the only thing is, one thing we have observed is, when we achieve certain things, they change the goalpost. They bring something totally different. So that we can't help now. Even this time, the Human Rights Commissioner's report was not much about the war which took place 12 years ago or the conflict which took place 12 years ago. It was all about this year. Right? This year, Sri Lanka was battling COVID. We had economic issues. We had restrictions of travel. We didn't have any human right violation. We were struggling to come out of the COVID-19 pandemic and to develop our economy and move on. But now we are accused. And also, there is a very dangerous trend in this game. They are saying it is likely to happen. Right? There is a dangerous trend that the situation can deteriorate and therefore we must take action. So this is actually in future tense. Right? So this, I think it is not their mandate to talk about what is likely to happen in the future. Maybe they wish that to happen, but I think we don't wish that to happen. We want a peaceful country. We want social harmony. We want to live as one country, one people. Yeah, you see now, where is this money coming from? You see, the Human Rights Council in the beginning said that there is a huge financial crisis for the maintenance of the Human Rights Commission, right? They said they don't have money. Now, on top of that, they have allocated 2.8 million US dollars. Now, the question is, where can this money come from? Is it coming from the same countries that move the resolution? Then the next question is, who is going to be appointed for this monitoring mechanism? Are they from the same countries that provide the money and move the resolution? So in that sense, in Sri Lanka, we have a saying, Nadu Thamdurange, Badu Thamdurange. So can we expect justice through a mechanism which is funded, staffed, moved by a certain group of European countries? We can't expect any justice through that. So that is the predicament. Now you mentioned the money. It's 2.8 million US dollars. That's a lot of money. Now we just did a very quick calculation. With this much money, our entire northern peninsula, 2 vaccines can be given to all people. 20,000 houses can be built. A drinking water project can be completed, providing drinking water to few hundred thousands of people in Jaffna, because we know there is a drinking water problem in our northern part of the country. So this is what we can do with this kind of money, rather than wasting this money on an office they want, funded funds they want, staff they want, to target the small countries. So I think the sense should go into the system. Use that money for a good purpose. Well, we need to try many things, because you see, it's only 2 days, that is after the resolution is adopted. At the moment, we are exploring each and every avenue, technically, legally, procedurally, how best we can handle these issues, and to identify what we should do. It will take few days, obviously. because I'm only an official. So we need to get directives from my foreign minister, my president, cabinet, other ministers. So we need to get policy directives from them as to the way forward in this issue. So it is too early for me to say, what we are exactly going to do. So once we get the policy directives, then of course we can, the ministry can translate that into action to find solutions. And well, whether we can have one of our people in that, I really don't know. That's what I said, I don't know the mechanism. I don't know where the funding is coming from. I don't know who's going to sit in that board. It is very unlikely that they would open the door for Sri Lankan to be there, because then of course it will have some balanced view, but I don't foresee a balanced view coming from that. Again, the answer is we have not decided on it yet. Initially, we thought even to invite the High Commissioner herself to come and see, because we believe we have nothing to hide. And for them to write reports sitting in a desk in Geneva, getting maybe some shadow reporting from Sri Lanka is not good. It is not reflecting the reality. So we have to see how best we can have them, whether we are going to invite them or not. We need to see, because even after coming here, they will still talk only the negatives, and without looking at the good side, that will be a problem. But only thing, we have not decided yet, we have not even discussed it yet. In due course, we need to find a solution to that. Well, to begin with, I never said India will support us. I think I was misquoted in that instant. What I said is, I was echoing the words of the Honorable Prime Minister of India. He said, India will not do any injustice to Sri Lanka. These are the exact words that I used, but in Sinhala translation. But unfortunately, one of our journalist friend took it as I said that India will support it. And then it was headline news in Sri Lanka, and the Indian news also picked it up, and they said, the Foreign Secretary said India will support. No, I never said that, right? So this is, I need to correct it. So I'm sure India got upset, they have not communicated that they will support us, but then here the Foreign Secretary is saying that India will support. No, I never said that. But I think in many discussions, many forums, I expressed our desire that India would support us. Yes, we did that, because India is a major power in the region and our immediate neighbor, huge population, largest military. And since this government came to power, we did quite a lot to make India comfortable, right? We did quite a lot to make India strategically comfortable, right? Because we have clearly said that we will never do anything to harm India's strategic security interests. We did that. So we gave top priority for India's security concerns in the region, in the Indian Ocean region. So we expected India really to take a firm stand, but actually we can't blame India. India, as I said, they must have had their own reasons for doing what they did. But in the statement, the final statement, they initially said these country-specific resolutions are not good. They said that. So we are quite happy about that, because that is a principal position that we always argued. This country-specific resolution without the consent and the concurrence of the country is not going to work anyway, and it is not good. So India also towed the same line. Of course, they have to talk about Tamils, because there are 60 million Tamils in Tamil Nadu, and Tamil Nadu election is coming up very soon, I think 6th of April. So they will have to talk about it. And then, being the architects of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, the Provincial Council Act, so they have a stake in talking about it. I think now, of course, we have had 20 amendments, so it's high time that we have a new constitution encompassing whatever the lessons we have learned. We need a constitution to move on, maintain social harmony, maintain ethnic harmony, maintain religious freedom, and move on, not to, go back few decades and create some disharmony. No, that's not what we want. So, but we are still happy India abstained from voting. It would have been a very different issue if India voted for the resolution, but they didn't. So we are comfortable with it, and of course India is our neighbor and we need to work with India, and we need to make progress in every sphere. But of course there are other countries also we need to work very closely in the whole international system, because our main interest is not only ensuring security in the Indian Ocean, but economic upliftment of our people. Now, in order to do that, we need foreign direct investment to come to the country. So, we have to look for that. So, we need to do on economic diplomacy much more than we used to do earlier. No, I think basically with every country we need to maintain this relation, because you see 11 countries wholeheartedly supported Sri Lanka. Some of the countries we don't even have diplomatic relations, right? So now we need to rethink, they were great friends who actually rose for Sri Lanka in a moment of need, right? So we need to think about this and maintain our focus in Africa, in the Middle East, in the immediate neighborhood, in the ASEAN region, the Far East, and South America. We need to maintain our focus throughout the world, right? I think Human Rights Commission is only one event, but then there are many other things to come. We need economic diplomacy, we need more investment to come, we need more exports to go from here to the other countries, we need tourists to come, we need technology transfers. So there are a lot of things that we need to do. So we have to make them work.